COBRA and Medicare, this is what retirees need to know to avoid costly penalties. Thinking about COBRA after you retire, this could cost you more than you think. This applies to you if you're turning 65, you're retiring soon, or you're currently on COBRA. A lot of people choose COBRA thinking that their healthcare is completely covered, but they don't realize they could be setting themselves up for lifetime penalties, and we don't want you to do that. Here is what you need to know. Let's start with what is COBRA. COBRA is a federal law that lets you continue your employer health insurance after leaving your job. This is usually up to 18 months. Here's what we see all the time though. Someone retires, they take COBRA, and they skip applying for Medicare Part B altogether. Naturally, people are just gonna think, hey, I already have insurance, I'm good. I just wanna roll over and just keep what I currently have, continue my current coverage, and not mess with navigating this healthcare or Medicare stuff. While this is the most comfortable situation to be in, this is where all the problems begin. People typically do not enroll into Part B because they don't want to pay both the COBRA premiums and the Part B premiums. This delay in Part B activation is where the penalties start coming in. In order to delay your Medicare Part B without penalty, you must have coverage from active employment, meaning you are currently working and having your employer health plan. This means COBRA does not qualify as active employment, even though it's the exact same plan when you were employed. It's coverage after you leave your job, not coverage from a current job. So it does not protect you from Part B penalties. So what are the Part B penalties that everyone's talking about? Well, Medicare Part B late enrollment penalty is what someone pays if they delay in enrolling Part B without having creditable coverage based on their current employment. The Part B penalty or late enrollment penalty is 10% added to the standard premium for every full 12 months that you delay the Part B enrollment. This is a lifetime and permanent penalty as long as you have Part B. If someone delays their Part B for 2 full years, let's just say, that's a 20% increase in the standard premium. Today's standard premium in 2026 is $202.90. So 20% of that is going to be $40.58 additional to your premium. This means your premium just jumped from $202.90 to $243.48 a month. Now, this rule to delay your Part B is designed for people who are still working past 65 and should only be delayed if they're actively working and their employer has more than 20 employees. Once you decide to retire, the rule to delay Part B with no penalty is no longer applies. And we don't want that penalty that we just talked about to impact you negatively and for your entire lifetime of being retired. So once you do retire and you stop working, first of all, congratulations, but know that you only have 8 months to enroll into Medicare to avoid these costly lifetime penalties. And I don't want you to have to pay those. This is based on when your active employer health plan ends, not when your COBRA ends. That is a common mistake we see happen all the time. So let's say you take your COBRA and it lasts the 18 months. If you miss that, then you can't just sign up anytime you want. You have to wait for the general enrollment period, which is from January through March. So the issue is, let's say you retire, you stay on your COBRA for the full 18 months, and then your COBRA ends, let's just say in May. You then have to wait until January when the start of general enrollment period begins. And when this happens, that means you have no coverage until you get into Medicare, and you are continuing to accumulate penalties for missing your window of time. So that 18 months now turns into 24, 25 months. You will then enroll into Medicare in January, and your coverage won't start until February, leaving you accumulating penalties for 2 years, which is 20% in addition to your standard premium. To make it worse, this is a lifetime Part B late enrollment penalty, meaning it will follow you for the rest of your life and you can never remove it. Now, a common question from our retirees is, why do I even need Medicare if I have COBRA, which is the same exact plan I had before I retired? Well, that's because once you retire, Medicare is supposed to pay first. They're supposed to be primary, and COBRA pays secondary. But if you don't enroll in Medicare, you don't have that. COBRA doesn't step in as primary. You could be solely responsible for what Medicare would have paid. Let's say you have an unexpected outpatient surgery like a hip replacement, or maybe you tore your ACL playing pickleball, whatever. But let's just say the bill's $50,000. Medicare would normally cover about 80%, and then your COBRA would pick up and pay the rest. But if you didn't enroll into Medicare, that portion would fall on you. And that's why getting this right matters. It's not just about the Part B penalties, it's also about what medical bills you would be required to pay as well. Now, to be fair, there are situations where COBRA can make sense short term, meaning temporarily. If your employer is paying for it, like a severance package, you still need to enroll into Medicare, and you can use it as a primary and COBRA as secondary. This has been traditionally helpful for people who are transitioning into Medicare and, maybe a forced retirement due to illness or just, how the economy is. We typically only recommend this when they are in the middle of care or have an upcoming surgery. That's because we don't want to have any delays in care. However, it happens. If you're covering a spouse or dependent is another common circumstance. Keep in mind, you as an employee do not have to be on COBRA for your spouse or dependent to receive their benefits. And they can actually extend their COBRA benefits up to 36 months. It's another common misunderstanding we see. You can get on Medicare and they can get on COBRA. You definitely have to make sure you enroll in Medicare and on time. So why do people make this mistake? Honestly, it's innocent and they just want to keep the same doctors and network. They want to avoid disruption in care. It's easy and COBRA is just automatic. They're just like, whoop, let me just enroll in COBRA. A lot of people think that they can just switch later whenever they want, but Medicare just doesn't work like that. You can't enroll anytime you want into Medicare. And while these are valid concerns, they don't change how Medicare rules actually work. So while COBRA feels like employer coverage, but Medicare doesn't treat it that way. Now let's talk about prescription drug, which is known as Part D as in drugs for Medicare. COBRA can count, but only if your plan sends you creditable coverage notice. And you have to get this frequently and often, it feels like these days. If not, you could face a Part D penalty as well, which is 1% of the national average premium for each month you don't have Part D. And it is also a lifetime penalty. So let's make this very simple. COBRA can be useful short-term, temporarily. COBRA does not replace Medicare. It would be a huge mistake for you to assume that. Medicare should come first once you retire. And remember, COBRA can last up to 18 months, but your Medicare window is only for 8 months. If you're retiring or currently on COBRA, this is something you want to get right the first time. You can give us a call. We'll walk through your situation step by step and help you avoid these costly lifetime mistakes and penalties.